Hello, I'm Bill Scott, the president of Store Report. The name of this lesson is the hierarchical structure and how it works. Step 1, the vendor order. Refresh yourselves with the hierarchical structure by re-examining the chart. Normally only one corporate entity is affected, the Inventory Control Specialist, for their assigned stores, the ICS. We will get to the non-corporate entities later, but I want to be sure we cover all the material in bite-sized pieces, so the process of doing so answers many questions before they can arise. First, we will examine the activities to be performed by the ICS. To do this, let's take a look at this chart. What you are looking at are 5 inventory items cut in half, with the first 8 columns at the top and the remaining columns beneath it, each row coming from data downloaded from the POS. The first column is labeled Retailer, because our cloud supports multiple companies. If at some later date you decide to use our system over the internet, your company would be assigned a unique number. The second column represents a store within a company. In this case, these records are for store number 1. The third column is the number or identifier assigned to the supplier. These records are for vendor 00211150. The reason we assign them numbers is because this company follows the vendor through the back office accounting system, or you can use the data to export to any back office accounting system of your choice. The fourth column, entitled VIN, is the identifier the supplier chooses to identify each product. The same product sold by a different supplier would most certainly be given a different number that corresponds with a place where the product is stored in a supplier's warehouse. All suppliers have not yet gotten a handle on UPCs, so they assign each product with some kind of identifier that represents that product to the vendor. It also allows them to facilitate the practice of grouping multiple sizes. For instance, packs and cartons, items in boxes, singles and cases. It allows for substitutions, a bad habit that forces you to accept a different brand, or even a similar type of product rather than the one you normally buy. Some suppliers give the same products, such as cartons and packs within cartons, and others just assume you always receive an item in the same size every time. In short, VINs are a blessing to the supplier and a curse to the retailer. Once I experienced a retailer receiving 5 cases of antifreeze when he expected 5 gallons. For example, let's say you requested Libby's green peas, but if the supplier is out of that specific product, you might receive Jolly Green giant green peas instead at a different cost than our size. Of course, you might get Surefine sauerkraut if your supplier's warehouse is disorganized. The description of each product may or may not come from the download from the POS descriptor in English words, or it may not be consistent. In our system, we maintain a database of product names by UPC, and we will be glad to share ours with you if you ask for it. You can also Google the UPC or subscribe to a service such as upcdatabase.com for a small fee that you can query whenever a new UPC is added. Worldwide, thousands may be added daily, but you only need the names of products that you purchase and sell. Keep in mind that some POS systems have a unique limit on the number of unique items you can store, and believe it or not, I've worked with stores that have run past the 10,000 item limit on their POS systems, mainly for the reason that they do not know how to delete items they no longer sell. If you control your own list, you can make their descriptions anything you want, but I would caution you to try and standardize the names in some form. For example, our customers start the description of all Marlboro tobacco products with the letters MARLB. This practice can be invaluable if you are trying to keep brands together. You can also assign brands to departments. but we will cover departments in another lesson. The on hand column tells you how many of a particular item are located in your store. Some retailers may keep separate counts for items on the sales floor versus overstock in the stock rooms. If you follow our recommendations, you won't have enough product in your storeroom to make that a necessity. There is a time when we will discuss the role of the section manager. But for the time being, I will just say that the figures in the on-hand column will be managed by the section managers, who will count the inventory the day before the order is to be generated to the supplier. Coupled with the next column required in store, the spreadsheet will forecast your needs automatically. The date of first and the date of last sale can be helpful in telling you how long an item has been in your store and when it stops selling. It could be the key to alerting the ICS when the store is out or when the section manager is not doing their job properly. The average daily sale column is a perpetual field that is used by your spreadsheet to calculate the sales from the previous 90 days at the least, and multiplies that amount by the number of days in the delivery period of the vendor. The first item on our list was set to 3 cartons of Camel non-filter regular salt packs when the section manager counted them. With an average daily sale of 0.6848 cartons per day, 7 days in the supplier's delivery cycle, and 3 cartons on hand, we have 4 days left. Normally in this case, immediately after a delivery, it would call for the store to have 5 cartons on hand plus a small amount of safety stock, say 1 extra carton just in case. However, I recall this particular situation from 8 years ago, and I remember the owner of the store always asked the store manager to order 3 cartons for him personally at the first of each month. So the store manager would add 3 cartons to the required in-store field on the first day of each month. The reason I remember this is it was the first time I considered making a provision for this kind of anomaly, but never did because the store manager was okay without it, and no one else ever asked about it. The days left column was more of a help for the ICS in determining when an order was getting close. The suggested order field would be the number of units of this item that the computer would recommend to be ordered from the vendor on the following day. Is this the perfect solution? Of course not. There will be occasions when the store might run out of a product, but with a great deal of emphasis being placed on what we refer to as high-risk items, the occasional missed sale is insignificant to the amount of money invested in unneeded stock, the reduction in carrying cost, the time saved by employees, and the overall cleanliness and neatness of the store. Depending on your particular situation, the ICS will look over the vendor order and then submit the list to be sent to the supplier. I use a push product authorization flag in our price book that allows the supplier to send products to the store without an order. We need to quickly get to a point where only certain products can be sent without a vendor order. 85% of new products do not sell. We cannot afford to be guinea pigs for manufacturers if we want to double the profits in our stores. I strongly suggest you reject any orders that are not specifically ordered through the process or something similar. In the past, stores either turned their inventory decisions over to their supplier with minimal input from store managers, the VP of stores, and sometimes store supervisors, or the stores just let their suppliers bring them whatever they wanted or whatever they happened to have on a truck at the time of the delivery, with the last store or service for the day receiving stock that other stores didn't take. This practice tends to become a habit, and once bad habits become policy, and after the store notices something is wrong, they are ripe to be plucked away by a more aggressive vendor. Either way, sooner or later, the store will either go under or start shopping for a new vendor with the same similar promises. Rack vendors come into the store with everything they can carry, and oftentimes stuff as much product as they can get on the shelves, sweeping other vendors' products aside to make room. They're supposed to pick up out-of-dates, but with so many products to work through and so much overflow ending up in stock rooms, they often miss quite a bit. In short, eventually the retailer loses control of what is placed on the shelves, as evidenced by the product ending up in the storerooms and stacked in cases inside the coolers. Vendors will take the easiest path of resistance, and since many of the vendors employ pre-salesmen who get paid for how much stock they order, allowing this activity to take control of your store can have disastrous consequences. I'm beginning to see the time when rack jobbers and pre-salesmen will no longer be conducive to modern store practices. Of course, product that doesn't sell in the stores makes vendors think it is selling, and the vendors order even more of the same stuff because they ignore or do not receive feedback from stores, and they assume it is being sold, when in fact it's simply being stored inside the stores. That's why you may find, as I did, as much as 3 years worth of stock rotting in stores until an employee steals it or a manager gets permission to take it to the dumpster. Store managers rarely, if ever, make the decision to clean up the stores because if auditors bring an account too low, the store managers can be docked or even fired. If you do as we suggest at the end of the first 90 days, you will reduce your overall stock by at least half, have cleaner, more efficient stores, increase store profits, and get yourself closer to a virtual consignment arrangement, which will benefit everyone, even your customers. Thank you for watching our latest video, the hierarchical structure and how it works. Step 1, the vendor order. I'm looking forward to presenting more information regarding my past 4 decades of working with hundreds of convenience stores from Hawaii to Puerto Rico. If you would like to comment, please do so here, or you can write us at storereportinfo@gmail.com, and we will respond as quickly as time allows. Thanks again, and hope to see you next time.